Good evening. This is Tom Alexander. It is Wednesday, December 28th. It is 5:08 p.m. Eastern Time in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. I want to do an update because I think we're on the cusp of a potentially very significant event. That event being a downside washout that carries the NDX to a low below the October low, which could be interesting. I came into this week, if you listen to my report last week, leaning bullishly because of the close on Friday, and certainly that is no longer the case. We are in mature structures in the S&P, the Dow, and the Russell. The Russell closed, the cash market closed below the low extreme of an increasingly mature balance area. This is the beginning of an attempt of an initiative breakout. This is basic market profile, auction market stuff. Let me show my screens. And here we see the Russell. You can see we close below this low of the 22nd. Now the Russell, the NASDAQ, the NDX, the NQ, there is really nothing below where we closed until you get all the way down to the print low of the 13th. Today was the lowest close in the bear market, I believe. Let's just validate that. Yes, this is the lowest close since the high back in January. So the next step, the next stop, potential stop in the NDX is somewhere in the neighborhood of the October lows. Now, what would that mean? Well, it will really set up an interesting situation because this could occur tomorrow. It's very unlikely unless we just have an outright crash, which I don't think is likely. Crashes are never likely. But a waterfall decline into late tomorrow afternoon, early Friday, even late Friday is certainly not out of the question. We're in a time of year where there's low volume. We also have institutional repositioning, positioning. We have option machinations. So in this low volume holiday environment, we have the ingredients for a very sharp move that could be exacerbated because of all those conditions. So, it looks like the Russell is trading initiatively lower already out of its balance area. Now the S&P and of course the Dow have not joined the party yet to the downside. And then you have the NDX that looks like it's going to trade to a lower low below the October low imminently. A couple of things I want to share with you. Now, everybody wants to talk about market profile and some magic in market profile. Market profile is a graph. It's a graphing. The balance area within this structure that is formed. It's right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trading days in duration so far. Doesn't mean it can't be 9 or 10, but we're already testing the low extreme of this balance area. And a balance area has 3 key reference areas. You have the upper extreme, the lower extreme, and then you have the high volume node. And the high volume node is right here. Now, there's another way to look at this. Let's go down in time frame and look at this on a 60-minute structure. I'm going to leave today separate from, and now these are the annotations you see here, the annotations that I just drew in the large degree chart. Let's go to, this is the 60-minute. Each profile unit is a session, a day session that includes glowbacks. And each slot is 60 minutes. So if we combine this into the structure that it is, the auction that it is, now I'm going to take this off. Here's the high volume node, the effective high volume node of this structure. It's right here. And you can see today, in today's trade, we opened above it and then very quickly traded below it, and we're closing into the low extreme of this structure. The general guideline when you are trading a balance area that is mature, and this is true in any degree of time, whether it's 5-minute chart or 60-minute chart or daily chart or weekly chart, is that the general guideline is you want to be favoring trades in the direction of the price of the close of the price side. So we're closing below, we're below the high volume node. Therefore, you want to be trading shorts. That's just a general gross guideline. Obviously, you fine tune that with strategies and tactics, depending on the time frame within this time frame you're trading. But that's another topic. But the point of this is that today we close very close to the very low extreme of a very mature structure, and it's a similar situation in the YM. I'll show you. So we'll just make this the auction that it actually is. That's the purpose of the profile chart, is to show an auction. An auction is not, you can't really put chronological constraints on it. You have to be able to identify when you have overlap in trade, heavy overlap in trade. That's a balance area. That entire structure is an auction, regardless of the time frame or how long it lasts. Okay, so here is the YM, and you can see this is the high volume node. Actually, this was the high volume node in the day session today. We're closing below it. Now, the NQ is in a different position, but let's look at the Russell. And we'll do the same exercise. Just merge all this together into the auction that it clearly is. And you can see you have a very distinct, pronounced high volume node. And you can also see today's trade. This is where we close. We're in the very low extreme of this auction. So what you're looking for now is a very sharp move away from this area in all of the indices. So let's go back to the cash charts. And here are the cash charts, okay? Now you can see this was the November 9th low prior to the Fed bungee jump higher that everybody got excited about because the Fed was going to start lowering interest rates or something. Well, we've closed below it now, and the NDX, the Russell, have not closed below it or taken it out yet in the SPX or the Dow yet. You can see the Dow is the low extreme of the balance area, and the Dow includes that November 9th low. It also includes lows from several days. So this is a really important level in the Dow. Now, if we're going to have a washout, you're going to see the Dow take this level out to one degree or another. You're going to see the SPX take out the November 9th low to one degree or another. What would be really interesting to me is if we do close below this October low in the NDX. If we do that, it's going to be really interesting to see how the other indices behave in the immediate day or two following that event. Something else to share with you. This is breadth work that I keep, NYSE breadth. The red line is a 10-day moving average of NYSE advancing issues. The green is a 5-day moving average of advancing issues. This is something I've used for most of my 38 year trading career. It is the proverbial blunt instrument. It cannot be rote traded. It's contextual, etc. That I always give that caveat. Everybody wants to turn everything into this binary buy here, sell here, oversold, overbought thing, and things don't work that way. Now, that said, at the moment, what you're looking for here are extremes. And what you're looking for here is behavior between price and NYSE breadth. And breadth has closed negative 2,000 once since the top on, what was that? December 1st. We have now gone longer in any period of time since last January's high with the fewest number of negative 2,000 breadth readings, that being one. It's unusual to have traded as deeply off of this pivot high as we have to this point and not have seen a closing negative 2,000 breadth reading. We've had one here, not to have seen another one. It's very unusual. So I'm looking for that. I'm expecting that. Now, whenever you have an opinion, and my opinion is, as we head into the Globex session today, my opinion is bearish. The market looks like it's going to wash out to the downside. But as a trader, I have to be very careful about my own personal narrative. And it's fine to have an opinion, but if you have an opinion, you have a narrative, you have to know as a trader what invalidates it. Well, here's what would give me pause under my immediate bearish assumption. If we have some sort of deep retracement in Globex that carries through into the cash market, then I'm probably wrong. And what is happening, we're still in the balance area, and we're gonna honor both the lower and the upper extreme. We could even retrace today's entire range. I mean, some of the same reasons that I think the present market condition is conducive to just a complete washout, that being low volume, that being end of year machinations, option expiration machinations, and end of year repositioning by institutions and their option positions. All of those things are conducive to very sharp moves. It looks, I mean, there's a lot of evidence that it's going to be down, but if it's not down, then we could retrace today's entire range to the upside. That can only be determined in real time, and it's something that we will be looking at in the live trade room. And if it happens, I will update again. Let me show you something else that is a little bit odd. Okay, so the pattern between price and VIX, the volatility index, since the January high has been, we spike up to around 30. Then we go down here. This was the pre-top spike. This was back in last December. And then into the top, volatility dropped below 20, spike up to 30, dropped, spike up to 30, dropped, and you see the pattern here. Well, it's followed through kind of, sort of. It's a little bit like breadth. We got into the 20 area here, couldn't really get below it except for a day or two. And we did indeed put in a short-term high. Now, since we've declined, since the top on December 1st, we've been going lower, and VIX it's above 20, but it's not really spiking. If the pattern were to hold, the recent pattern, the pattern that began at last January's high, then we wouldn't see a low until VIX spiked 30 plus. Well, we're a long way from 30 plus. So we're at this inflection point from a technical perspective, from a market structural perspective, and a time perspective that is extremely compelling. I think we're going to get a sharp move lower. If I'm wrong, it's probably going to be a sharp move in the other direction. And the only way to gauge that is in real time. When we'll get an idea in Globex. If I'm right about a bearish resolution, I would not be at all surprised to see a gap down in the market overnight, in the end of the cash session. If I'm wrong, then we may get some sort of furious bungee jump rally that begins in Globex. You guys have a wonderful evening, and if we get some sort of dramatic change, I'll update again.